any connection between the two murders may have been lost if it hadn't been for a quite a lucky twist of fate.
Right, okay. Can I just ask?
Yes.
Is it just coincidence that they're both called Stephen and both called John?
I believe so.
Right, okay.
The way that, it doesn't culminate that is anything, but I did think that was a weird thing that both.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Coinkydingle, right?
Yeah.
Both Stephen and then John, and then Stephen and then John. Weird, right?
And then they was both in different counties as well.
Yeah. The county thing is something that continues. The name thing, I don't believe is.
Does. Okay.
Unless we go through this and we do notice something. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. Probably not. So yeah, like I said, like the other ones, the fact there was no connection made with the first two almost didn't happen again with these ones. But neither of those particular counties where those dudes had died had their own forensic pathologists. So both of the victims were actually sent to the same hospital, which is Bloomington Hospital. And they had exactly the same examiner. The examiner for both was a guy called Dr. John Pless. So this Dr. John Pless, while the crimes weren't 100% identical, they were darn tootingly similar enough that Dr. Pless suspected there might be a serial killer at large.
Oh.
So he's the one who
puts the idea into the head.
Yes.
Okay.
So before the day was over, the doctor reported his suspicions to the Indiana State Police, who, Alan, in turn, can you guess what they did?
Brushed it off.
They dismissed him as an alarmist. Yes.
For a forensic pathologist,
to say
they're the ones that out of it, everybody would know. You would think
the similarities, of course. Yeah, exactly. You would think that. So this is one of the moments where the police do sort of fuck up a little bit. A
lot.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Very bad decision on their part to do so. Because with the police choosing to ignore the doctor's warning, the highway killer had free reign to continue his brutal murder spree. The next body that would be found was 22-year-old David Block, a recent Yale graduate who vanished on December 30th, 1982, while also visiting his parents.
Isn't Yale like
it's a really good place, college. And again, this is, these people, it's that time of year, because this guy was visiting his parents, it's that time of year where people are going around visiting their family.
Doing
things, so people are traveling. David's Volkswagen was recovered from the Tri-State Tollway near Deerfield, north of Chicago. And while at the time he was still reported as just missing, authorities had noted that Deerfield, where his car was found, was just 60 miles north of where the body of John R. Johnson was found. So the police were, they weren't dumb. They weren't unaware that, there is a snifter of something odd going on, but they weren't really doing too much about it. Behind closed doors, the police were beginning to wonder if maybe they did have a serial killer on their hands after all.
Why would they think that? And then I don't get it. Why would they think that? Why
would the police think that? Because of the evidence they've got so far. Because obviously the coroner guys told them there might be a serial killer. The fact that this new piece of evidence is what with the new body, which is not too far away. They're now thinking themselves maybe they might, maybe the coroner was onto something, sort of thing.
Yeah, I just think it should have been alerted straight away as soon as the coroner said it.
Well, that's a given. Yeah. That's a given. That's a gibbon. That's a gibbon, Alan. That is a gibbon.
A gibbon is
that's a gibbon. Yes, that's a gibbon. That's a given and a gibbon. So, they're thinking that maybe there is a serial killer.
Yeah.
It'd be a further 4 months before David Block's skeletal remains were actually found near Zionsville, Illinois on May 7th, 1984. By that time, unfortunately, advanced decomposition and exposure to the elements unfortunately made it nearly impossible to identify a definitive cause of death.
Oh.
Yeah, so they couldn't really pinpoint exactly what had happened to him. While the police were still reluctant to publicly admit the existence of a potential serial killer, members of the Chicago and Indianapolis gay communities had already recognized the pattern, and word was, of course, quickly spreading.
This has happened before.
Yeah. I mean, but I think we've mentioned it before in one of the other episodes where for a police force to admit there is a serial killer, it costs them a fuck ton of money. Like, because as soon as they say to the public there is a serial killer on the loose, they've got to be seen to be doing every single thing. Actively doing it. They can't just sort of sit in their offices and sort of twiddle the thumbs for an hour or two. Every minute of every day counts. And they've got to be putting all the money possible. They've got men on the streets all the time. They've got to be doing crazy investigations, crazy forensics. Cost them a lot of money.
No, yeah, I completely understand that.
Money which I'm assuming a lot of them don't want to spend, or maybe don't even have. I don't know. Still, not a good excuse.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
No, that's definitely not. I'm not making excuses for them. They should have been onto that right away. So yeah, by January 1983, there was a gay newspaper in Indianapolis who established a hotline where members of the public could call in and provide anonymous tips. Again, kind of similar, right? I kind of love the gay community for that because in a lot of these stories, well, at least a good handful, right? The gay communities, even at these particular times when being gay, openly gay, wasn't like as accepted as it is now in 2018. The people are still standing strong, being unified, coming together as a community.
Yeah, it seems like it was a thing that was always going on with the gay community, though.
It's really, I like it because sometimes I can get quite, especially when I'm on the Twitter sphere, I can get quite jaded about the gay community sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of sort of bitchiness, some backstabbing, and people calling people's names and sort of femme shaming and masking. It's like, we're all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
Just get a grip.
I agree.
Sometimes, but it's things like this that do remind me that we are a community and there is strength within the community. So the hotline that they made worked so well that the newspaper was actually able to create a full profile of the killer. The newspaper published that the killer was likely to be a self-loathing homosexual male who killed his one-night stand partners to refute unwelcome desires.
Right, okay.
That description would be eerily accurate. I'll just let you know.
Oh, okay.
I'll just give you a little tease of what's to come.
Okay.
C-U-M come. No.
No.
C-O-M. What's to come?
C-O-M-E.
C-O-M-E. Yes, that's the other way. That's the other way to spell it, right?
Yes, that's the correct way to spell it.
So, even with the beginnings of a public outcry, the police, at least on the outside, still were seemingly not doing much. At least on the outside, this is what I say. Because, again, behind closed doors, they could have been busting their little tiny little balls off. We don't know. But from the outside, they seem to be doing fuck all. Of course, on occasion, the police officers would sort of troll the gay bars and clubs. However, as we have discussed in previous episodes, given the climate and the attitude the police had previously had towards the LGBTQ plus community,
I can imagine it's very blasé.
Yeah, well, people were very reluctant to speak to them, weren't they? Because you don't know if you're going to, tell this police officer dude that, admit that you're gay, tell him about this dude who did this thing. You don't know if them police officers are going to pull you over one day and then beat the fuck out of you and leave you maybe next week. Sometimes, certain places, it could be almost as dangerous, if not worse, to tell a police officer.
Maybe not worse, because there's just going by beating up and dead.
No, I mean, no, you know what I mean by not saying. I mean, you could like the percentage of you maybe getting hit by the serial killer might be quite small compared to if you know what I mean. The risk level is quite high.
Okay, yeah.
So you might think, Alan, you might think.
Me?
You might think. You might not think. But that with the whisperings of a highway killer now beginning to circulate, the culprit behind these vicious crimes, you might think, might try to maybe lay low for a while.
No.
Yes.
I know, I don't think he would have done that at all.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they hear that, there's whisperings about, so they go, I'm going to play it cool for a moment, and then...
You get somebody who are like proper cocky though and said, I'm going to get away with this.
Yes, well, unfortunately, this was the case for 27-year-old Edgar Underkoffler. The highway killer. The highway killer did not slow down. He was one of those cocky bastards. I do apologise, by the way. Edgar Underkoffler, I think I pronounced that right. I've possibly not, but I'm just trying my best. Edgar was found stabbed to death outside of a place called Danville in Illinois on March 4th, 1983. As in Stephen Egan's case, the killer had removed Edgar's shoes and socks, replacing them with white tube socks that the victim never owned.
Can I ask, just very quickly, I think, is he keeping them as a trophy or a fetish?
Spoiler alert, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean... And again, spoiler alert, this doesn't even become an MO that is repeated consistently.
Oh.
Which is strange. It's kind of like as if the killer's trying to establish an MO.
Yeah.
But I don't believe he continues with it. Or at least it's not detailed in every single one anyway.
Okay.
So just 12 days after Edgar's body was found, the mutilated body of 26-year-old ice cream shop owner Jay Reynolds was found discarded along US Highway 25. So another body. Jay had left home to close his business on the night of March 21st and just never returned. The highway killer was showing no signs of slowing down.
That sucks.
He was going far too quick. He was going very quick, very rapid.
The only positive that I can think about with how fast he's going is going to make a mistake.
Well, normally that's what I think, because sometimes when we've been lucky Lou at some of these cases, it is like they go so fast and they get caught very quickly because of how quick they're going. They trip up, they make a mistake. Well, not the case today, saying not the case today. Sorry, the microphone keeps going off. One of the technical issues that we have on the rare occasion. April 8th, 1983, and that month's first victim and number 7 on the highway killer's confirmed list was 28-year-old Gustavo Herrera. Gustavo was found by construction workers in Lake County, Illinois, near the Wisconsin border. So, yeah, we got another body. Gustavo was a resident of Chicago's Uptown District. He was a father of 2, but Gustavo was also known to frequent local gay bars from time to time. Aside from multiple stab wounds, his killer had cut off Gustavo's right hand and removed it from the scene. Which, again, like I said...
Trying to establish an MO.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
Feels that way, right? I mean,
Definitely
the
does.
MO and the style is... It's kind of a little all over the place.
Yeah, because it's so drastic what well, I know the shoes and socks are not that drastic, but it's something that is...
It's a thing, right?
It's obvious.
It's like a calling card, yeah?
Yeah.
It's like, this is my thing that I do.
Yeah, it's obvious. You'll notice it.
Yeah. Still, Alan, this dude was not slowing down in any way, shape or form. So 1 week later, on April 15th, another victim came about in Lake County. This particular one was the youngest to be killed so far, and he was 16-year-old Irvine Gibson, who was found just outside Lake Forest. With Irvine's body... he had been sort of crudely camouflaged with leaves, so he had been killed and then put leaves put all over his body. And he was found stretched out beside the lifeless body of a dog. So the killer had killed the dog as well.
Was that the...
I think it was. I couldn't see if it was or not. I probably, if I had spent more time,
it would be.
If I'd spent thorough investigations and looked at newspaper clippings and things, I probably would have been able to find that out. Fortunately, I didn't do that. Also, I couldn't access the Chicago newspaper from the UK. It doesn't let me. Apparently, it's like a region thing.
Really? For newspapers?
Well, it lets me see modern day stuff, but it won't let me look back at the archives. Yeah, which kind of sucks because there was some newspapers from around this time, and I wanted to look at them just for a little reference to double fact check things. But yeah, I couldn't. Won't let me do it. Next on the list was 18-year-old Chicago native Jimmy T. Roberts. Jimmy was found in Cook County, Illinois, near the Indiana border on May 9th, 1983, and was found to have been stabbed more than 30 times. After he'd been stabbed, the killer had pulled his pants down and rolled Jimmy's body into a creek. Unfortunately, the water had removed any evidence of any potential sexual assault, so that couldn't be 100% sort of corroborated. corroborated. But just with the previous crimes, the motive was kind of clear. It was, highly suspected that was probably the case.
Yeah.
So this guy is plowing through bodies this particular